Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Just so you know, I am filming this part of the video right after I have finished actually filming this video because I've been looking through the footage and I cannot for the life of me find anywhere where I filmed. I know I filmed an intro, but I cannot find it anywhere. So this is what you're getting. So fun, so fun. Anyway, a couple of weeks ago, I did film and put up a video where I read thrifted books since I've been doing a lot of thrifting recently and you guys have really enjoyed those videos. And I thought it would be fun for me to do another video where I was reading more of the books that I have thrifted. So in this video, I have a couple of books that we're going to be reading that I did thrift recently. And the very first one that we're going to start off with is The Reading List by Sarah Nisha Adams. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you say her name, but I like this one. I thought it was super, super fun and colorful and it really popped off the shelf to me when I was looking at it when I was thrifting my books. So I'm excited to start reading this one, even though I've already read it, but I'm excited to get into this one. You guys will see what I thought about this one. And just for like a little background, like what we think this is about, this is from the back page, but basically there's a widower, Mukesh, and he goes to they live in London, it's based in London, and he goes to a library where he meets Alicia, and she's an anxious teenager working at the library, and they kind of form a little friendship, a little bond, and go through this fun little life experience together. So that is what this is about. I'm excited to get my thoughts out on this, and we'll go ahead and get started reading it. Let's go. Like 2 pages in, I read the prologue, and what was really neat about the prologue is it talks about how this guy's in a library and he finds a piece of paper and it has a list of books on it, and it was the same books that were in a pile that were on like the shelf next to him that somebody then came and grabbed and took, and so it was probably their reading list of books that they need. And I just flipped over the next page in this book and there's literally a list that somebody wrote. It's a reading list. It's a list of books. That's wild. Like, that stuff doesn't just happen all the time, you know? That's really cool. A reading list in the book. The reading list after we just found the original reading list in the book. Anyway, crazy. I don't know what it means. But so far, the prologue was great, so I'm excited to keep reading. All right, y'all, I'm on my way to work, but real quick, I need to check in about this book because I'm almost done with it. I haven't filmed a whole lot because I feel like I've just been kind of still getting all moved in, but a lot of stuff has been happening. I have to say I don't think I like it, which I feel bad whenever I don't love a book, but it's just kind of a little boring. Essentially, this book there's 2 point of views in every chapter. So there's a point of view from Alicia and a point of view from Mukesh. Alicia is young. She's like about to go to college and she's a librarian. She's working at the library and she doesn't really want to work there, but she needs to kind of help out with her family. Her mom is super sick and her brother works a lot. And so she, just has to work there. And then Mukesh is an older guy. Think of like your grandpa, and he is just lonely because his wife recently passed away, and he decides to go to the library and they meet, and at first she's really rude to him, but then Alicia gets a list of books that she kind of just happens to find at the library, and she decides to start reading them, and then she begins to recommend them to Mukesh. All the while that's happening, while they're kind of learning to bond and become friends with each other over these books that they're reading, you kind of get other point of views from just random people in every single chapter, and it's where they also find that same list. Like somebody finds it at a supermarket, somebody finds it stashed in a book somewhere, they just find them in the weirdest places, and it's the same list of books. And so you kind of get to see them all go through this process of reading the same book and the different emotional aspects that come with all of these books. So it is interesting. Like, there's a lot of the books in there. Most of the books I would say I have read, but The Kite Runner is one of the books that they are like I'm currently reading through that section that I've never read before. And I was like, okay, maybe I should read this. So that's kind of fun. I do like that aspect of it, but I'm not really sure where it's all going. I think that's where I'm kind of confused. I don't understand. I don't really love the older man and younger woman aspect of it. I don't think they're going to get together, but that just kind of it just kind of creeps me out a little bit. So I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen, but we have like 80% of it is done. So I need to quickly try to read the last 20%. I'm actually going to listen to it about my audiobook while I go to work today. And we'll just see what we think of it and how we feel. Cause I'm not quite sure. I'm just not quite sure how I'm feeling, but we'll see. So I have finished the reading list, and I think it did get a little bit better towards the very end. I do have to say, I feel like this book
It really needs to come with a trigger warning. I don't think, I'm gonna look back up here. I don't think it did. There were themes of like suicide. There was, I think, cancer and just like a lot of death in it that I was just kind of like, I was kind of surprised to have it come up so much in this. Overall though, I will say not my favorite book. It's unfortunate because it looks really cute. I will say though, I'm really excited to start reading some of the books that they talked about in this book, like The Kite Runner. The author actually wrote a bunch of books on the back as well, that she was like, these are other books that they're my reading list. Like these are the books that I would recommend for you to read that really changed my life. So she has a lot of them in here, which is really exciting. And then what was really neat was that, I think I talked about this earlier, but inside there was also a list that somebody else had written that had books on here that she or he or whoever it was recommends, I think, for the future. So that's really nice. I will say I have read most of the books that they talked about in here, so that was kind of fun to be able to relate to the characters that way, to know that like I had read Rebecca, I had read Little Women, I had read To Kill a Mockingbird. I haven't read The Time Traveler's Wife, which I think is the very first book that they talk about in here, so maybe I'll get to that eventually. But that is my thoughts on this book. Unfortunately, only 3 stars for me, but still a good book. Like I would still recommend it to people if you were wanting like just a feel-good book that, you know, talks about 2 people just becoming friends, and maybe if you're like a grandma or somebody, or you know somebody who's just kind of feeling with loneliness and struggling, this might be a good book for them. But again, trigger warnings, there's a little bit of suicide in here and stuff that was just kind of a little shocking, so just keep that in mind. So moving on to my next book, I have a couple of options. I'm not quite sure which one I'm going to pick, but let me show you guys. So I have 4 options here. The first one that I have that I think I might do is The Number One Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith. This is a national bestseller, and when I first thrifted this, I had a lot of people comment on the video saying that this book was really good, that they really liked it. And I also believe that this is a whole, like, there's a whole series about this, like the Number One Detective Ladies Agency, whatever. There's like a whole series about it. So I'm excited to get into reading this. This also is kind of a little bit of a shorter book. There's like 230-ish pages, so I feel like I could get through it pretty quickly. But the other books that we have as well is News of the World, a novel by Paulette Giles. This one was turned into a movie, which I have not seen. I don't even know what it's about, but I thought that was kind of fun, and it was also written by a New York Times bestselling author, so I feel like it's probably going to at least be pretty good. This one's also pretty short. It's 180, actually it's like 200 pages total, so maybe we'll get into this one. I'm not really sure if I want to go into like something, I just feel like it kind of almost seems a little boring, which sounds terrible. I don't think it is, but I think it's more like a Western, which I'm not really sure if I want to get into right now. This one also, from the looks of it, kind of looks a little bit Western as well, but I think it might be a little bit more of a mystery. And it talks about witch doctors, so I thought that would be kind of fun. And then the other 2 we have is Echo of Fear. This is from the Chris Echo Files by Tara Myers. And so this one I feel like could be fun. I feel like it's also like a thriller type of book, which could be very interesting. And I think it's also 230-ish pages, so that might be interesting. And then we also have The Miracle Inspector by Helen Smith. And this one's a darkly comic literary novel, so I'm not really sure. There's a fun little note written on the back side of this about somebody's rent. Okay, well, we're not gonna worry about that. I'm thinking, honestly, right now, I'm kind of leaning between Echo of Fear and The Number One Ladies Detective Agency. I think we're gonna go with this one. The Wall Street Journal has some really good stuff to say about this. This one doesn't have anything with the Wall Street Journal, so I think we're gonna go with this one next, The Number One Ladies Detective Agency, and we'll see what we think about it. I'm excited. I'm really excited because I have a couple other books I've thrifted by this author, so if we really like this one, then maybe we can read some of the other ones as well. So let's get reading this one. I'm excited. I am procrastinating getting ready for my date that I'm about to go on today. I am going on a blind date with somebody that I've never met before, and I just always get really nervous when you haven't met anyone before. Like, it just is kind of scary. Like, what if it's just awkward the whole time? So let's pray for me. But I have been reading The Number One Ladies Detective Agency, and I am now halfway through. I'm on chapter 11, page 125. This is kind of an interesting book. I'm not totally 100% sucked into it, but it's about a woman named, what was her name? Ma Ramotswe, but her actual name is Precious Ramotswe, I believe. It's based in Africa, in Botswana. I believe it's based in Botswana, or, you know, one of the countries in Africa. Yeah, Botswana is where it's based off of. And it's about this woman who you kind of, you know, every other chapter kind of goes and deep dives into her backstory a little bit about how she got there and how she got to where she is. And then it kind of fast forwards back to the case that she's currently working on, but she kind of solves a whole bunch of different cases because she is a private detective, a private investigator for people. And so I just feel like we're halfway through and we finally got into the really big case, which I get that we needed to have a lot of build up to it, but we're halfway through now. Like it's halfway through. So I don't know, maybe it will be there'll be more interesting details. Maybe it will kind of get us going, but I just feel like we should have started earlier to get really hooked into this case. So I'm not quite sure how into it I am, but I feel like now that I'm on the case of potentially human trafficking, I think is what it is, or it's at least being kidnapped by witch doctors, I think it'll be a really interesting and fascinating read. So I'm gonna go on this date, we're just grabbing tacos, and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna keep reading and we're gonna see what we think, because I think I'm a little bit more interested in the book than I am the date, but we'll see how it goes. Hello, we are back from my date. It actually went really well. I had a really good time, so happy that worked out for me, but I do have a little bit more reading to do. I was able to get a little bit done since I've been back, and I have, let's see, oh, I'm almost done. I've got like 40-ish, 50 pages left, so I think I'm probably gonna finish this tonight. And yeah, I would say that it's a good book. It's really interesting, but I wouldn't say it's like one of the most charming, honest, hilarious, and life-affirming books to appear in years, as the cover claims to say. So there's that, which is kind of unfortunate. I feel like the other book that we read in this video also wasn't super great, so a little sad, but honestly, we'll see. Like, it is a good book. It is a good book. I like the writing of it, so we got a little bit left, and we'll see what comes from it. I'm on the last chapter. It's gotten better. It's definitely gotten better. This book, The Number One Ladies Detective Agency, it was a very quick read. I started this book yesterday and I was able to finish it today, and I did actually think that it was quite cute. It was a good story. I do like how there were quite a few different mysteries that she was trying to solve throughout the book, but I feel like the one that she was kind of trying to solve throughout the entire one, about the child being kidnapped by witch doctors, they never really went very deep into it, and so it was just kind of a little weird that that was the one that was like really being dragged out through the whole series, or through the whole entire book and the different chapters. However, I do like how it ended, and how it kind of did wrap up. I do feel like because it's such a short book, obviously Alexander McCall Smith was not able to get into the nitty-gritty details of everything. That just wasn't enough time or, you know, space for it in here. So that's kind of my only flaw, I guess, I have with the book, is that it just feels like it was just very quickly. There weren't a lot of details. There wasn't a lot of resolution necessary with every single mystery. It was just a very quick fix for it all. So overall, though, I would say it was a good book. I think I'm gonna rate it 3.5 stars. And now that we're done reading this one, I'm gonna go to bed, but tomorrow we'll pick out another book and read that one, and then I think we'll be done for the week of reading thrifted books, because tomorrow's Sunday. So we'll see what we decide on reading tomorrow. All right, hi everyone, it's the next day, and I have started my next and final book for this reading video, which is Echo of Fear by Tara Myers. And I got this, I believe, in my most recent thrifting vlog when I was doing the A to Z thrifting challenge, and this counted for E for Echo. Anyway, and I am, let's see, I'm like 51 pages into it. I'm on chapter 8, and I'm actually quite intrigued by this so far. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, but I've been very quickly kind of sucked in. It looks like a thriller. As you can see, there's a woman on there with a gun, and what it's about so far is a woman named Chris. I believe it's Chris Echo, and
We don't know too much about her, but we do know that she is a police officer that is being sent on a forced vacation. And we know that there was some sort of shooting. I think she might have killed somebody in self-defense. And it kind of seemed like there's a pretty intense backstory back there. She has some family issues. It sounds like people don't talk to her anymore because of how intense she's been with her career. And so she is on like a private island where they kind of live in these beautiful huts for a couple of weeks. And that's where she's doing her vacation. There's a few other people there that are also kind of just there on vacation. And very quickly they find out that there's going to be a huge tropical storm that's coming, and it's going to be coming across the island. And so they are all kind of bundled into one house for the night. It's only supposed to happen, or supposed to pass for one night. And so they're all there in one night, and they're all just kind of hanging out. They all seem to get along with each other pretty well, but she kind of is having feelings that there's something more going on, that there's something bigger happening, and she's not quite sure what yet. And then we also just got introduced to a new main character that a chapter was about. His name is Kyle. He's a CIA agent, but he's undercover in a drug ring, and he is out on the ocean with a bunch of drug dealers that he's been living with for basically 2 years, and he's getting ready to have them get busted when this huge storm comes in and they get shipwrecked onto an island that I believe is the island that Chris is on. And he can't find his radio. The radio is lost at sea, and so he can no longer contact his people at the CIA to come in and bust these guys. So I think they're gonna meet up, they'll team up, they'll do something. I don't really quite know what. That's all we've gotten so far. So I mean, it does, a lot of stuff has happened in the first 50 chapters, but I'm excited to keep reading. I'm only on chapter 8, like I said, but this book I feel like is gonna be one that I can probably get through. Honestly, if I didn't have plans tonight, I would probably be able to read almost the entire thing tonight, but I think we'll probably finish it tomorrow for sure. So we'll see what we think. But I do like it so far. I think so far this is the one that I've definitely gotten sucked into the most. The other two, like the No. 1 Ladies Detective Agency, I really did like it. It was a really fun read, but again, it kind of just took a while for me to really understand what was going on, whereas this one, it's very clear right away. We know what's happening. So I'm excited to get on to reading this.
I'm slipping away, so don't let me go. Nah, 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 nah. I'm all up in that love haze.
Whoa, okay. Some stuff just happened. So the other group of, excuse me. So Chris, the main police girl, they're in the main house, just chilling out, and they get a knock on the door, and that's where the other group of men come in, and she's kind of telling everyone, hey, just lay low, let's kind of hide, not necessarily hide, but she's like, some of the men should probably be discreet and kind of go hide because we don't want them to know that they're here, or that, that there could potentially be a threat. And then right then it says, as Desmond entered the hall moments later, several gunshots exploded through the house. Gotta keep reading, obviously. Oh, they're gonna kill everyone there. Not right now, but I think that those druggies, they're out for, man, this is gonna be an intense book. This is gonna be really intense. I'm excited. All right, it's time to have a little chit chat about this book, Echo of Fear. I am almost done, as you guys can see my bookmarks right there, and I have just this much left, which this book is only 230-ish pages. So it's obviously going to be very, very fast paced for that reason. And also for that reason that it's so fast paced, a lot of this doesn't really make any sense. So there's suddenly a romance aspect to it between the two main characters. And I just feel like he literally got there the day before trying to kill them, kind of, and then all of a sudden they're in love. That just doesn't make sense to me at all. I get it, it's desperate times call for desperate measures, but I just don't feel like that's super realistic at this point. And I kind of just wish that it was maybe a little bit of a romance thing at the very, very end. Maybe when everything gets resolved, then they can fall in love or whatever, but it doesn't need to happen during the middle of the most intense part of the whole book. However, this is really keeping my attention. It's really keeping me super sucked into the book. I'm really excited to see how it's going to end. I'm not quite sure how they're gonna pull off their little stunt they're gonna pull off, because they are trapped on an island and there's a tropical storm happening. So I don't know how they're going to save everyone. But we only have 30 pages left, so we'll see. Yeah, page 196. I do feel like there's gonna be one or two more twists happening. Maybe one more twist that happens in this book, so we'll see what we think. But so far I do like it. I think it's my favorite one that we've read out of the other books that we have thrifted for this video, so I'm liking it a lot so far. Well, hi everyone. We are now on to the next day, and I have finished Echo of Fear by Tara Myers.
I feel like this book, it was probably my favorite one to read out of the other 2 books that we read for this challenge, but I just have to say, like, I just felt like it was, because it is such a short book, you go through a lot of stuff really very quickly, and it just doesn't always necessarily line up or completely make sense. There's definitely a lot of viewpoints in here, or plot points, that she kind of like touched on in the beginning. Like, she kind of touches on the fact that this person was told to go take a vacation. Like, she was told not to come into work anymore, and you don't ever find out why or what happened or what the reasoning was behind it. You also kind of get like a little idea that maybe this person is, maybe this girl, Chris, is actually, like, she might have killed somebody out of self-defense or something like that at the beginning of the book, and you never get any sort of resolution or anything like that throughout the rest of it. So there's a lot of little things like that where it's like, okay, you kind of teased us a little bit, but you didn't really like go into detail. And maybe this is I think this is a series, so maybe it kind of goes through the whole series, but I feel like you can't tease something like that in the beginning of a book and then literally not touch on it at all ever again. Other than that, though, I would say it is a pretty good book. There is some death in here, which I think was just kind of a little sad and unfortunate, but it's not exactly how I thought it was going to turn out. So it was good. I did like it. I would maybe potentially read another one if these 2 characters are also in the next book, just to kind of see maybe if there's more, you know, depth to it, or if there's more details and explanation to some of the things that were referenced in here briefly, just so that way I can kind of get a resolution for it. But overall, I would say it was fine. 3.5 stars is what I would give it. So nothing too crazy. And honestly, the other 2 books that we read in this video, I just think it wasn't that great of a reading week for me, I guess. The books just weren't amazing, which is what you get when you are thrifting books. And I did, you know, in my thrifting challenges, I usually don't give myself a ton of time to read the backs of books to see if I would really enjoy them or not. So these ones were definitely ones I just kind of grabbed, and so you never know. And for some people, these books, you might love them, and for some people you might hate them. So for me, they were just mid, unfortunately, but I am excited to continue reading more of my books that I have been thrifting. So if you guys have made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment down below a little shopping cart emoji and tell me what books you are reading right now and which ones I should read next. And I will see you all in my next video very, very soon. Bye.